Hey everyone, we're so glad that you're joining us for our sermon recap this week. We have been walking through Ecclesiastes. I'm sure that you know this. And this week we specifically we're talking about chapter 7. Now all through Ecclesiastes we see Solomon doing this sort of experiment on life. He's kind of walking through humanity and learning that the experience of humanity is difficult. And there's all these lessons he's learning and a lot of hard things. And there's kind of a almost depressing undertone to the book. And one of the things that he is going to highlight in chapter 7 is the reality that we don't get to master or control reality, that we don't get to decide outcomes, and we can't predict or persuade what is going to happen in our life. He says he's seen the righteous man die, and he has seen the foolish man live, and it's really hard for us to come to terms with these hard things in our lives, and it's hard for us to accept that we can't control them because we lack control. But he's going to tell us here that despite that we can't control our realities, how we live our life does matter. And it matters because how we respond to adversity or the hard things, and how we handle prosperity, the blessings in our life, our response to those things can influence the effect that those things have in our lives. And he wants us to recognize that adversity, if wisely considered, can actually positively affect us, that God can use things in our lives for our good. And he also wants us to be aware that conversely, blessing or prosperity can actually lead to detrimental things in our lives, that there are consequences that can occur if those things are foolishly handled. And so how we live matters. That's what he's letting us know. How we live has consequences and effects in our lives. The last thing he kind of points out, and really a theme that we see all through Ecclesiastes, is that to be able to handle adversity and prosperity well, we need wisdom. And wisdom comes from fearing God. And so he gives us everything that we need to live well and live wisely if we can learn to fear him and know truth about him, and then choose to live well. So a couple of questions that we'll talk through. Specifically, take some time to read with your group Ecclesiastes chapter 7. We're highlighting verses 13 through 18. And then we'll ask some questions for discussion. So question number 1, what was most encouraging or interesting to you this week? Question number 2, what most challenged or raised questions for you? Question number 3, we can't master or control reality. We can't predict outcomes. We can't persuade in one way or the other if we're going to have adversity or prosperity. In what area of your life do you find this to be most challenging to accept? And conversely, is there an area of your life where you find this really comforting to know? Question number 4, Solomon believed that adversity, if wisely considered, might have positive effects on our lives. Has there been an experience in your own life where you've seen this to be true? Question number 5, Solomon also saw how prosperity, if handled foolishly, could have detrimental effects on our lives, negatively affect us. How have you seen this to be true? Question number 6, truthful knowing of God is what leads us to rightly fear him. Truthful knowing. What spiritual rhythms are in your life that lead you to know him well? What spiritual rhythms? Our action step for this week is this: memorize a Bible verse that is meaningful to you. If knowing God, truthful knowing of him, is what leads us and teaches our hearts to fear him, to be in awe of him, knowing the word is vital to us. So take some time this week, choose a verse that means something to you where you are, and commit that verse to your heart. So glad that you got to have some time together or by yourself to think through these questions, to think through our message. Hope that you're enjoying the series, and we hope that you'll join us next week. Have a great week.